So, I don't know about you, but sometimes my life just seems kind of crazy, even chaotic, right? Confusing, unsettling, out of control, you choose the words. These days, the craziness seems to be everywhere. We turn to God for comfort, but still feel uncertain and anxious. We pray for understanding and remain confused. This would be a great time for God to appear before us looking like a giant Power Ranger, standing with hands on hips, assuring us not to worry, that he was on the job, and everything was going to be just fine. These days, the folks that picture God this way might be feeling a little more relaxed than some of us. Then there are the other folks who say, I told you so. This whole God thing is a hoax. But there are many learned scholars and scientists who, while they may not call it God, allude to an unseen, benevolent force out of which all life is created and sustained. A divine intelligence that organizes and governs the entire universe. I love the study of spiral dynamics. And here's how chapter 1, entitled Different Times Produce Different Minds, begins. While these are chaotic and turbulent times, they are hardly crazy ones. There is a rhyme to both the reason and the unreasoned. Order lurks in the chaos. A deeper chaos still lurks in the order. Those who have eyes to see, ears to hear, and minds steady enough to live creatively in uncertainty will rest easier knowing that the sky is not falling after all. Now I wonder, could anything be more relevant to what's going on in the country today? Whenever I get that what's it all about, or worse, that oh my God, the sky really is falling frame of mind, it helps me a lot to pause, look around, and notice the presence of divine order all around me. It helps to think about the unmistakable order of the cosmos, of nature, of our own bodies. For me, divine order is irrefutable evidence of the presence of God, and so it comforts me. We heard many stories about this kind of divine order this morning. So, for the rest of us, consider your own life. Have you ever stepped back to notice how all of your experiences are somehow woven together, like a rich and intricate tapestry? Like a tapestry, if you stand too close, or you look at only one small piece, you cannot appreciate that your life is an amazing, complex work of art. But when viewed in its entirety, from the right distance, its incredible beauty and order are revealed. Consider this. Every experience, your parents, your childhood, your religion of origin, your education, your career, your relationships, your successes and failures and wounds and healing are all part of the tapestry that makes up your unique path. Everything you have ever done or experienced belongs because it has all brought you here, to this place, at this unsettling, confusing, and absolutely amazing time. You may have labeled some of your painful choices mistakes, or thought some things should have been different. But are you really so sure about that? How else could you have learned what you know and become you whom you are today? For example, from the perspective of time and distance, I can now see that the difficult experiences of my childhood had a lot to do with my becoming a good parent. I only knew I wanted my kids to have a better childhood than I did. I was determined to break the cycle of fear and anger I grew up with. And to do this, I had to get a lot of help. But now, there is nothing in life that brings me more satisfaction than seeing the kind of loving parents my sons are. It's important to accept our history and understand that it had meaning and purpose. This is healing and allows us to stop suffering over the past or trying to figure it all out so that we can turn our attention to a completely new reality, living in the now, in this moment, just as we are, just as it is, fully awake, eyes wide open to see clearly, ears open to hear deeply, and with wisdom enough to look beneath and beyond appearances. Order is one of Unity's 12 powers, the potential for greatness that is inherent in all people. These powers, or faculties, when fully developed, result in an expanded view of life, or what Unity calls the Christ consciousness. When our spiritual faculty of order is well established, we live free from regret over the past or worry about the future. We trust that who we are and the circumstances we're living through are just as they should be. We trust in right timing, that things are unfolding at the right pace. Gradually, we let go of some of those made-up stories in our heads and place our trust in actual experiences. The robin doesn't hang on the branch and wonder if she had a good voice or not. She just sings. The eagle doesn't angst over whether to fly east or west. He just soars on the wind. We all love Jesus' teaching about this. I paraphrase from the Gospel of Matthew. Do not worry about your life. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If God so clothes the grass of the field in this way, can he not be trusted to care for you? In all the natural world, only human beings have been given the ability to think, reason, and choose. How marvelous a gift this is. Yet too often we use these gifts to analyze too much and do too little. Especially when problems seem as complicated as they do these days, we can catch that age-old malady known to most people called analysis paralysis. Friday night at the environmental meeting here at church, we discussed how overwhelming climate change issues are and how this can completely shut us down. The guidance we received from the presenters was to simply do what is most obvious, what we are able to do in our own sphere of influence, and let the rest go. We talked about politics and how totally out of control things seem. The guidance was to take action where we can, first and foremost by paying attention, staying informed, and voting for the candidates who have a track record of dedication to the things that we care about. Perhaps we can't make our politicians be respectful, ethical, or honest, but we can run our households and our church on principles of respect, honesty, and right action. We can teach our children to run their lives that way too. That's a lot of people. One young minister named Sarah, who in her 30s is already a program coordinator for the North Carolina Interfaith Power and Light, And she advised us all to think less about what's broken and use our imagination to picture the world we want. Well, imagination just happens to be another of Fillmore's 12 powers. She was the youngest on the panel, and she was completely unfamiliar with unity. At least she was, until Friday. A young black woman, pastor of Zion AME Church, talked about climate change as a justice issue. An Episcopalian priest explained how the immigration crises around the world are being driven by hunger, which is being caused by climate change. Could it be, they all asked, that by being distracted by political shenanigans and allowing ourselves to fall into meaningless partisanship, we are focusing our attention on the wrong issues and not taking action on what matters most? Developing our faculty of order involves expanding our world view and understanding right priorities. The focus is both outside and inside. While we pay attention to what's going on in the world, we go inside for intuitive guidance and act in accordance with that, rather than from fear or tribal loyalty. It is understanding that the chaos of the world today is not random. With an expanded awareness, we can see the whole world going through a sort of purification by fire, meant to lead its people to deeper wisdom and higher consciousness. What the rest of nature does by instinct, we, by right of our autonomy and intelligence, must do by intention and practice. Here's how Charles Fillmore puts it. To develop divine order in our lives, we must learn to cooperate with spiritual law. Obedient cooperation with God's plan of good is the secret that clothes the lilies with beautiful attire, and it is the secret that will make our lives happy, harmonious, and balanced. Only from this place can we make a true difference in the world. That was a real lesson for me, though I've known it for 40 years. Developing our faculty of order starts with the establishment of order in our thinking, and then works from the inside out, eventually manifesting as order in our lives and in the world. We are not here to rigidly impose our views on other people or order on outer conditions. To the contrary, we accept situations and people as they are because we understand that we are standing too close to see the big picture, and that discomfort is a call for attention and action. Trusting in divine order, we dance with life, staying tuned in and awake, able to recognize the people we are meant to be with and the work that is ours to do. We become masters at putting first things first, or, as Margaret Mead says, keeping the main thing the main thing. As with all of the 12 powers, the development of order happens in stages. First, we study spiritual laws until we understand them intellectually. Next, we meditate, pray, and reflect on them until we are ready to give our heartfelt consent to them. Then we practice putting them to work and observing the results, because the universe gives us feedback to our way of thinking. And we do this cycle over and over again until living in alignment with spiritual law becomes as natural as flight is to the eagle. We can't rush this unfoldment, can't judge ourselves for slips. We live into it day by day as we respond to the challenges of our lives. Periodically, we stop to take stock and notice that divine order has been present all along, working things out and bringing harmony and flow to every area of our lives. When the faculty of order finally lands in the gut, it becomes possible to be fully present, no longer distracted by self-doubt, resentment, regret, or fear. We notice the beauty around us and drink of life more deeply, more gratefully. We feel more alive, better able to take life-enhancing action when it's called for. I've noticed that my emotions stabilize. Our relationships become more harmonious once we no longer have to have our own way or convince anyone else to think the way we do. We become aware of once buried desires and dreams and begin moving in their direction. We come to know and feel the benevolence of the universe, so it's easier to accept people and situations just as they are. And again from Charles Fillmore, unfoldment of the faculty of order enables us to find our right place in the orderly overall scheme of things and to fulfill God's greatest plan for our lives. Now, I want to take what seems like a little sidestep, but I think it's an important one. Throughout the study of the 12 powers, especially the faculty of order, there is repeated reference to cooperation with spiritual law. I wonder if everyone truly understands what is meant by this. We know there are physical laws like gravity and aerodynamics. There are economic and mathematical principles. There are laws that govern the cycles of life, birth, growth, maturity, and death. Natural laws that govern the way our bodies work. We breathe without thinking about it. Our blood circulates. Our heart beats. So what are these spiritual laws with which we must learn to cooperate? Unity principles are succinct restatements of the spiritual law. But for more detail and clarity, well, at least for me, I hope for you, I turn to Deepak Chopra's 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. I've heard people say, and I kind of agree, that Deepak Chopra's later books were kind of left my head spinning. But this was a fairly early one, and it's short and succinct and right down to earth, if metaphysics are your thing. These laws that he talks about are ancient, yet somehow they still seem new and rather radical. While man-made rules focus on the outer and the visible, spiritual laws focus on consciousness. The underlying principle is, as within, so without. Lasting good in the manifest world can only come out of minds and hearts that are grounded in adherence to spiritual law. So what I've done is put together a summary of that whole little book, 7 Spiritual Laws, for you. You can find that in your bulletin right now. I'd appreciate it. And I've added a suggestion for application as well as a supporting affirmation. I invite you to relax now and perhaps follow along with me as I read the laws and quote from Chopra's book. It's a lot to take in all at once, so I advise you to just let them wash over you without thinking very hard about anything. I think you will intuitively perceive their relationship to the faculty of divine order. First, the law of pure potentiality. The source of all creation is pure consciousness, pure potentiality seeking expression. When we realize that our true self is also pure potentiality, we align with the power that manifests everything in the universe. The practice of non-judgment is an example application. Throughout the day, I will remind myself that things are exactly as they need to be for my highest and best good. And the affirmation I might use is, I am open, receptive, and trusting. My life and all my affairs are unfolding in perfect order. Number 2, the law of giving and receiving. This is important. The universe operates through dynamic exchange. Giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of the energy of the universe. It is in our willingness to give that which we seek. We keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives. An example, activating the law of circulation. By giving a gift to everyone I encounter, a flower, a compliment, a touch, or a prayer, I attract joy, wealth, and affluence into my life and share it with others. And my affirmation, I offer a gift or silently bless every person who crosses my path today. Third, the law of cause and effect. Every action generates a force of energy that returns to us in like kind. What we sow is what we reap. When we choose actions that bring happiness and success to others, we experience the same ourselves. An example, choosing life-enhancing actions. Whenever I have a choice to make, I ask myself, will this choice bring greater happiness and fulfillment to me and all the others affected by it? And I affirm, for my good and the good of others, I make only life-enhancing choices. Number 4, the law of least effort. Nature's intelligence functions with effortless ease, with carefreeness, harmony, and love. When we harness the forces of harmony, joy, and love, we create success and good fortune with effortless ease. An example, living in the flow. Going within for guidance, I then take the most natural course of action. I pay careful attention to feedback from life and move with it, changing course whenever it seems right. I release the impulse to control. There's an easy one. I have no need to defend my viewpoint or my choices. Powerful. And the affirmation, I let go of struggle and go with the flow. And I release the need to argue with anyone. Number 5, the law of intention and desire. Inherent in every intention and desire are the mechanics for its fulfillment. Intention and desire in the field of pure potentiality has infinite organizing power. There's your law of attraction, right? When we introduce an intention into the fertile ground of pure potential, we put this infinite organizing power to work for us. An example application, trusting my heart's desires. I make a list of the things I really desire and carry it with me wherever I go. I read that list before I go into meditation, before going to sleep at night, upon arising in the morning, and then I let it go, knowing that the universe is working on my behalf. I knew a man who wrote down his desire and put it in a drawer and forgot about it until 10 years later. And when he took it out, he saw that exactly what he had wished for had unfolded. We let the universe work on our behalf. And the affirmation, the desires of my heart are God's will for me. Number 6, the law of detachment. In detachment lies the wisdom of uncertainty. In the wisdom of uncertainty lies freedom from the prison of past conditioning. In our willingness to step into the unknown, we enter the field of all possibilities and make ourselves available to the creative mind that orchestrates the dance of the universe. Example application, loving acceptance. I allow myself to be as I am and others to be as they are. I do not rigidly impose my idea of how things should be or try to force solutions to problems. I participate in everything, but without investment in the outcome. Today I live and let live. I give myself fully to life without attachment to specific outcomes. There's a little bit of graduate school right there. And finally, number 7, the law of purpose in life. Everyone has a purpose in life, a unique gift or a special talent to give to others. When we blend this unique talent with service to others, we experience the ecstasy and exaltation of our own spirit, which is the ultimate goal of all goals. An example, giving my gifts in service. I will make a list of my unique talents and a list of things I love to do. When I know my unique talents and use them in service to humanity, I experience the joy of living. And I affirm, today and every day, I offer my best to life. What an incredible lesson in metaphysics Chopra is giving us here. And also, what straightforward guidance for living. I'm wondering, you all probably is so, that one or more of those kind of jumped off the page at you, like they felt like they were there just for you. So I've written these down so you can take them home and spend some time reflecting on the laws that are calling to you at this moment. Perhaps they'll help you relax and know in your gut that divine order is working in every situation that is concerning you. Maybe you'll see a better way to handle a relationship issue. You might even feel more at peace knowing that divine order is working in your loved ones' lives as well. Meditate on the spiritual laws. Align your mind with them until you can feel in the pit of your stomach that somehow, some way, divine order is present and active in every part of your life and in every part of our world today. Remember, life is not a random event. We all belong here on this planet at this time. And the universe was designed to support us all in bringing forth what it is we came here to bring. From this vantage point, we may find comfort that while some experiences are painful, none are meaningless. Life is always leading us forward and upward. Creation is ongoing. As expressions of God, we are here to have a hand in God's plan for good, but the outcome is not ours to determine. Truth is, our vantage point is simply not high enough, nor is our longevity sufficient to see the whole plan. Yet you and I belong here now. We are one with God mind and God love and God life. So let's do our best not to push or force or struggle anything. Let's practice trusting life, following our hearts, doing our very best, and finding peace in the midst of the chaos. As my friend Stan at Aham told me just a week ago, the world is always going to keep coming. It's just what the world does. The question is, what will we be doing? God bless you all.